Yo. So, the end is in sight. So, Series 10 is about to come to a close, and we're about to see what will happen with the new Doctor, new companions, or what will ultimately happen. Before that comes, though, I personally am going to give my ranking of the companions from NewWho so far. I'm not going to count the classic companions because I've seen enough lists, and I think we know enough that Sarah Jane Smith, played by the late Elizabeth Sladen, will always be classified as the best. So, yeah, everyone may have their personal favourites. So I'm not going to rank the classic ones, as Sarah Jane will come out top every time. And I'm not going to place Miss Bill Potts, played by Pearl Mackie, yet. I mean, I'm going to wait until the end of the series and then see where I'd place her on my list. So this will be the five placings of the companions from 2005 to 2015, technically. So, at number 5 for me is Martha Jones, played by the wonderful Miss Freema Agyeman. Now, people wonder, well, why is she at the bottom of the list? I have nothing against her. She was a very good companion. She was very likeable. I mean, she was in a spot where most people might be when travelling with the Doctor. She began to develop feelings for him, but she eventually realised those feelings weren't mutual. I mean, he liked her, but that was it. And that's also kind of the reason why she left and why I respect everyone. I mean, she realised that it's a relationship she's not going to get out of. Or hang on, let me phrase that better. That she had feelings for him, he didn't have feelings for her, and she just decided to get out. It's also why she's at the bottom of the list. I mean, her story, it was a good story, but it's kind of fairly short, and they left it fairly open-ended. Like, with all the others, they came up with some reasons as to why the Doctor wouldn't be able to see them again, but this time she said, I'm getting out, but I'll see you later. I'll see you again, mister. Anyway, moving on. And my number 4 spot is Miss Clara Oswald, played by the wonderful Miss Jenna Coleman. I've seen people who didn't really like the companion much, but I actually liked her. I liked all the companions, and Clara was just the next one in line. The only problem I might have had slightly was towards the end of her, well, kind of towards the middle of her tenure, they started giving her one too many false exits. Like, she has a big argument with the Doctor at the end of Kill the Moon, and then suddenly in the next episode she's prepared to go with him on a trip on the Orient Express in space. I'm just like, how did he convince her on that one? Then at the end of Series 8, she and the Doctor part on mutual terms. Then she comes back for the Christmas special. Alright. And I do kind of wonder if things might have been a little bit more kind of effective with her if, after the end of Face the Raven, she had only stayed dead. But they did bring her back, and I was happy enough for her. I just wonder if things might have been a little more powerful if, towards the end of the day, she just went, okay, now I have to return to the timeline. So, yeah, I liked her as a companion. She was fun to be around. I mean, she stuck around with 2 Doctors, Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. But, yeah, just one too many false exits. Anyway, onto the Rosette placings. In 3rd spot is Donna Noble, played by the woman, the myth, the legend, Miss Catherine Tate. I know people are going to be going, oh, why isn't she at the top of your list? I'll get to that, but just Catherine Tate's Donna Noble. She wasn't, unlike some of the other companions who felt more powerful with the Doctor over time. She was only ever just a friend, and they showed a legitimate camaraderie, her and David Tennant, just going together, fighting the monsters, being mates. I mean, the only time she ever really kissed him was to give him a shock to expel cyanide from his body. And you know what? They were genuinely funny together. However, she also provided some very heartfelt stories, like showing what might have happened with her life if she had chosen a different path. She provided a really interesting character, and I will admit her exit was genuinely sad. I remember crying at that, just when the Doctor has to wipe her memories. That was a legitimately sad moment. Yeah. Anyway, and the second spot, place number 2, I give to the Ponds, and I'm counting all the Ponds here. I technically Amy, Rory, and River, plus also Brian, if you count that one. But yeah, the Ponds get a group placing. I mean, they were pretty much together from the start, and as with Donna and most of the other companions, really, when they exited, I was legitimately crying. I mean, I remember Amy saying, "Raggedy Man, goodbye," and just that moment had me in tears. I remember that. But yeah, they along with Clara had one of the longest runs with the Doctor, roughly 2.5 years. And through that time we did get to care for them. We got to know for them, we got to love them, and they were genuinely nice people. Yeah, not all the stories hit bullseye, but they gave us some really good storylines. I mean, as most of you may remember some of my favourites, some later years in which actually very few of them actually included the Ponds. I mean, the first 2 didn't, and the third one did, but that was about it. Dinosaurs on a spaceship. That involved 3 of them, so that was very fun. And of course, if you've deduced by now, my number 1 spot goes to Rose Tyler, played by Billie Piper. I know people are going to be like, oh, why is she a top? She was my first. Or at least, she was the first companion I saw with the Doctor, and with that, over the 2 years she was with him, from Christopher Eccleston through to David Tennant, I grew to love and care for Rose, not in that fashion, but we got to know her, and her moments saying goodbye to the Doctor at Darla Gulfstranden, that for me was, I remember I was in tears at that point. I mean, I was already in tears when she was just slamming against the wall, desperately trying to get back, desperately trying to be with the Doctor once more, and yet knowing she wasn't able to. That for me was one of the most powerful Doctor Who moments I ever saw. And her and the Doctor, they got me into the show, hooked me in. I stayed with all the others, but Rose was what got me in. So there you go, my ranking of the companions. Feel free to leave your own rankings in the comments down below, or leave a like with this video, and thank you. Anyway, this week there'll be well enough in time for everything. See ya.